right, let me turn this down for a bit, and we're going to have a conversation about this guitar. Welcome to what is part 13 of my guitars, and it's just a happy coincidence that lucky number 13 works out with a guitar that I won in a giveaway. So where did I win this guitar? Well, that's part of, if you saw in the thumbnail, I won it from a YouTube channel called FretNot, and they do guitar giveaways every week. Specifically, if you go to their channel and look for their playlist that is the entry-level metal series, check the comments, and if they don't have a winner for that guitar already, you can get in on the contest by liking the video, sharing the video, and commenting, and making sure to include the word done. It doesn't cost you anything. You aren't giving up your email or anything, so what have you got to lose? I know several people in my own little corner of the YouTube community that have won guitars there as well, so it's not just a one and done thing. I'm going to discuss a little bit more about FretNot, but just wanted to give you what this is, why there's not going to be much history. I won it in a giveaway. It was a kit guitar that FretNot put together, so technically I suppose you could say this is the #1 prototype for FretNot guitars. They did eventually commission an actual FretNot guitar from a boutique luthier, MWS, and you should check them out too. They do very nice work, but that's technically, so I have the prototype. We'll call that the more valuable one. So like most of us that have done a kit guitar, they ran into several problems, which I'll get into when I go into the specs. But they, unlike most of us, they decided they had a luthier to do a lot of the work on this, and I'll go into what he did. It was more of a headache than I think he probably thought. And they also spec'd it out. They took all the electronics that came with it, pitched them, or rather donated them to their luthier who was working on it, and put in several much better spec'd equipment into the guitar itself. So I think it came out really, really great, but it's an interesting story as we go through the specs, what it was. The other company that I'm going to mention in the video description for you to check out is the manufacturer of the pickups. These are Aurora Tone pickups. They were custom made for this guitar, which I'll get into in the specs, but Cody over at Aurora Tone has done a lot of work with FretNot. He makes boutique pickups. They're very, very nice, which I'll get into, but he can also customize it to fit the look of a project you're working on. I think he's done that for FretNot as well. I had just a couple chats with him after winning the guitar because I had questions about the pickups, and yeah, he's a great guy. So definitely, if you're building a kit and you've got the budget to include something a little more upper scale, I think for the price, you could do far worse, and hard to do much better. So on to the history of the guitar, as it were. Well, I think we'll maybe talk a little bit about the history of kit guitars. I think it's something that everyone probably wants to do, just to have a project going in and get an idea. I think they're good to learn about how to put together a guitar, how the guitar is connected, how everything works. It gives you a little bit of insight into what they do. Also, it's something, if you're looking to try and learn how to do setups, it's a cheaper alternative to mangling a fingerboard on your Gibson or screwing up the bridge on a Fender Player 2. So getting something that you can actually work on and have some experience to do with is a good thing. If you watch a few YouTube videos, you'll know that pretty much every kit guitar comes with a little extra work than people were intended. Well, this one actually came with a lot more work than I think Rob and Colton had intended, which is another reason that they got a luthier involved, and I'll get into that a little bit in the specs. So the only other thing I can say about the luthier, and the cool thing that FretNot did, they donated all the parts. If they do upgrades on other guitars too, I believe they do the same thing to the luthier, because he works with youths that want to learn how to work on guitars or need to work on their guitars to get them running. So it's just kind of good for him to have a cache of spare parts. So let's get a little bit into the specs. Make and model. Well, it's a Stewmac kit guitar. I couldn't find the exact one on their website, and I'll get into that a little bit. But I found a similar one, which did help with some of the specs. It is an offset kit guitar, hardtail model, no trem on this. And according to Rob and Colton, the body on this one is basswood. The one on the Stewmac kit currently online is mahogany. I think they're correct on the basswood because this one comes in rather light. And also, kits change. Maybe Stewmac heard feedback about this one, like the problems that Rob and Colton had, and decided, well, let's try something different, and got one with some different specs on it. It is an offset body, basswood. They said 2 or 3 parts when they had their luthier looking at it. I really can't tell anymore from the finish, and I can see at least one seam line on the back. But I would be willing to bet this is at least a 3-piece body, considering it's a kit guitar and the price. You generally don't take your prime pieces of wood and put them into a kit. The neck is maple. It's unfinished or a satin finish. I don't know if it had anything put on it. I'll probably put a little bit of feed-in wax on it just because I can kind of feel the grain. And I like it being silky smooth like this. That's nice. It's a nice fast neck. But having just a little bit of something to shine it up would probably be nice. It's a bolt-on neck. Because of the shape of the body. It's decent upper fret access, but I'd say, you know, it's only 21 frets, so not too bad. It's a pretty thin body. I didn't take an exact measurement. I'll have to get that out and check that out. According to FretNot's luthier, the body itself needed a lot of work. The basswood, I guess, wasn't in the best of shape as far as being sanded. And actually getting it to take finish properly was somewhat of a challenge. I think he did a fantastic job in the end because I think it came out nice. It's almost like a denim burst in my opinion. And they did say that the edges around the body is where it took the darker finish better, so that covered up some of the imperfections and they were able to do the color in the middle. I think it's a very nice looking guitar. The radius of the neck, that's a good question. Rob and Colton don't mention it, and Stewmac's specs on the kit that's currently out there don't mention it either. I'd be willing to bet it's a 12-inch radius at least, if not higher. It's a very flat neck. Speaking of the neck, their luthier also said that was another thing where it had a lot of bow in it, so we did have to work on it with the truss rod to get it in shape. Had several sharp edges on the frets, which they took care of. A couple have popped out since that I've noticed that I might have to work on, but I will mark that down to coming from a very warm environment. I want to say they're in Georgia, or at least in that area of the South. Sending something all the way up to wintry Wisconsin in January, something was bound to happen. I'm going to also probably recondition the fretboard, which they had their luthier do, because it still feels a little dry to me, and that could be because of the transit or coming from a more humid environment to a drier area. We'll see what it looks like when I change the strings, because I'm going to do that too. These are D'Addario 10s, but I will be throwing D'Addarios on there as well, but I like the coated ones. If I were to complain about anything about a free guitar, hypocrite, right? It would be that there's no side markers on the neck, no net. So with a rosewood fretboard and not super bright white dots, it's not the easiest to see the way I play because I'm not having it back where I can see the dots. And with the finish coming down onto the first fret, I think it's just my particular brain that does this, but I see that and I think that's the beginning of the neck. So I'm thinking first fret right here, which is actually fret 2. So if I'm not paying attention, it can throw me off a little bit, coming from up on the neck to lower on the neck. So that's something that I am going to do. I am going to install. I'm probably getting some Lumenlay dots to install myself, which will be a good project for me to learn how to do that. Going to go slow with the right bits. I've already got several friends in the community that have given me suggestions on how to do this. So I can have the fret markers on the side, which I think will help make it a lot more playable, at least for someone who isn't as comfortable going up and down the neck as I am. So I want to make sure that I can get more use out of this. Has a 43 millimeter nut. It feels like bone. I suspect it is bone because I think that was one of the upgrades they did too. If not, it's a very well done piece of plastic. It's cut pretty well. I'm assuming their luthier did that. We have 21 medium frets, and I'm going to guarantee these are nickel because with all the work their luthier had to do on it, I'm sure that Rob and Colton would have let him know in the video how much they appreciated all the work he had to do on stainless steel frets, because I'm hearing that that's a much harder job to do, harder on the tools anyways. It's the same process, but just harder metal. The pickups. This is where we get back to Cody at Aurora Tone. So Cody is based out of Canada. I will link his website below so you can check out what he does, and you can see samples of the different colors and finishes he does on pickups too that have matched people's projects. These pickups are not on his website. I believe the humbucker and I think the noiseless single coil are based on his Leviathan series, based on the conversations I had with him. If not, maybe being an actual Leviathan down there. They have several different finishes you can get on that, but he talked with Robin Colton and also custom built the noiseless single coil for them. You won't see a single coil on his website, at least the last time I checked. Whether or not you could reach out to him and work on something if you needed something like this, I'm sure everything has a price. Sorry, hit the volume and tone there. I forgot it's still plugged in. Anyhow, the bridge pickup, I did get a multimeter finally. Comes in at 14K. There is no coil split in the electronics. I'd have to look in there, but I'd be willing to bet that if you wanted to coil split that, you could. I'm pretty sure it's a 4-wire. The neck is a noiseless single coil, so I'm not sure if that means it's a stacked single coil or if Cody does something different to make it a true single coil that's noiseless. That comes in at 11K, and then just for fun, the middle position clocks in at 6.25K. So, like I said, master volume, master tone. I'm unsure of what kind of pots are under there. I'm assuming these were replaced along with everything else. The jack is something I'm going to look at too. I don't know if I just need to adjust the height. I don't know if you can see that, but when you push it down, it pops back up a little bit. So I'm not certain if it's not making a full connection or if I'm just going to replace it with a pure tone jack with the multi points of contact to make it a little more secure. I haven't had any problems with it cutting out, he said confidently before the sound samples. So I don't think it's anything that needs to be looked at immediately, but I'll take care of it when I change the strings and just get some photos of what's under there and see if there's anything else that I want to change or just leave as is. The switch itself is a decent switch. The kit tuners were replaced with Goto Magnum traditional locking tuners that have a 16:1 ratio. The kit bridge was replaced with a Hipshot hardtail bridge, and it's a great bridge. The guitar has great tuning stability between the tuners and that bridge. The only thing I did notice, and that's not a knock, this is just a style difference, is palm muting with this bridge was a little different because you can have your hand across the saddles, and unless you're a little bit forward, it's not going to mute because they're so flat the way that the strings come out of these saddles. So it took a little bit to figure out how to do the palm muting on that. And that's about it for the specs. So I'm going to get my headphones on and we'll start with some clean tones, which is something to show off what these pickups can do, because they are very, very articulate, whether it's on high gain or just a clean channel. There we go. All right, and we're going to start on the bridge. So aside from my mistakes, you can hear that that pickup does cleans pretty well. We'll go to the middle position, same riff. And finally the neck pickup. So myself, I like these for clean tones as well. I think they're very, very balanced pickups. It doesn't get too bassy, doesn't get muddy, very crisp. I do like the neck pickup, especially on a clean tone. So we're going to get a little bit of overdrive here now and go back to the bridge. middle position. And finally the neck. Alright, finally, a little higher gain, back to the bridge. Bridge in middle. And finally the neck. All right, let me turn this off and get the headphones off, and we'll have a few final thoughts about my major award here. They should have sent it in a box that said Fragile. I didn't display it in the window, though. I played it, so. Yeah, what can I say about this? When I found out I won this, I think I was watching one of Six String Stanger's live hangouts on a Saturday. That's when they do the drawings, is on a Saturday. And all of a sudden I see a bunch of comments coming through, hey, congratulations, Chris. And I was like, for what? And had to go over there, find the channel, had my jaw drop on the floor because this was one that I had actually wanted out of the ones that they were giving away. Just because I thought it looked cool, needed an offset guitar. So, hey, things work out for a reason, right? That's why I encourage people. Are you going to win every guitar? Are you going to win every time? Maybe. Are you going to win it all? No. But does it cost you anything? Absolutely not. Why not throw your hat in the ring? So, other than adding the side markers and the jack, I don't think there's too much that I'm going to do to this guitar. One other thing I forgot to mention. In the process of doing a kit guitar, like a lot of people who've done kit guitars, they learned a lot of things about putting finishes on said kit guitar. So, the sticker up here for FretNot, that's not just because they wanted their decal on it. They actually had one, a logo under the finish, which the idea was that it was going to show through the finish better than it did. But because this is so dark, if I were to peel that sticker off, you could see it if I took a really high-powered flashlight to the finish at just the right angle. So Rob and Colton said, hey, you could take that off if you want. You know what? I'm going to leave it there and let time take its course. If, as stickers do, they start to peel up eventually, that's fine. Then we'll see what happens. Maybe as it ages, that logo underneath will show through better. I did forget to mention one other spec, which might be something that I would change. The scale of this neck is 24 and 9/16, which, if you know anything about standard guitars, that's a little odd. Typically, you'll have 25.5 inch or 24 3/4, 24.75. So this is just kind of a weird in-between neck. So if something were to happen to the neck, or I wanted to try and replace it, I'd either have to spec something in that scale, or if I wanted to get a more traditional, like a 25.5 inch scale, I would probably have to move the bridge just a little bit. But this being a hardtail, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But as it stands, I think I'm going to keep it as is, because it's pretty much the first guitar I ever won. I've won a couple others, which I've been incredibly lucky and blessed. Um, and it's just a neat guitar. I always wanted the offset. I kind of like the weight. I like the way it sits. And yeah, so thank you to the guys over at FretNot. I will link their channel and description of how to win below. Thanks to Cody at Auroratone for specking out some fantastic pickups that they put in here. And we'll link his website down below too, so you can go check his wares out, see if there's a project you're interested in. I would be happy to say that I had sent some business his way because he seems like a really nice guy. So with that being said, the only other thing I would like to mention, this is all about a couple things. Number one, it's my nephew's 30th birthday today, so that'll put a bookmark on it for my nephew. And we're going out there because it happens to be Packers Sunday. But I also woke up to 87 subscribers this morning, so I thought, why not? Let's go with it. That's part of the name of the channel. And I want to thank all of you folks for coming around for part 13 of my guitars. I want to thank all of you for watching anything I do and commenting, liking, subscribing, sharing, everything that you do. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I hope that you're all having a fantastic weekend. And until next time.